Today we are going to start our abstract tie-dyed Zentangle artwork creation. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fist right in the middle of my paper. Then I'm going to take my other finger and I'm going to practice making a circle around my fist. I want my circle to be bigger than my fist on my paper. Then I'm going to take my bingo dauber, and remember, we never squeeze, push, or shake our bingo daubers when we're using them. I'm going to take my lid off and I want to set it right back in the middle of my table so I do not lose it. Then I'm going to take my bingo dauber and I'm going to draw the circle on my paper just like I had practiced with my finger. From here, I'm going to draw a slightly wavy line from my circle to the top corner of my paper. Not too wavy, not too squiggly, just a couple of waves. I'm going to repeat this step to all four corners of my paper. Be sure the lines go all the way to the edge of your paper. Next, I'm going to do the same thing from the top of my circle to the top middle of my paper. I am then going to repeat this on the bottom to the bottom edge of my paper and on each side to the side edges of my paper. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same kind of wavy line in between each wavy line I have already done. I want to make sure I do not touch the lines I've already drawn, and I want to also make sure that these lines go to the edge of my paper as well. When you are finished, you should have a grand total of 16 lines coming from your circle to the edges of your paper. We can now put the lid back on our bingo dauber and put it back in the middle of our table. Now that we have chosen our three analogous colors, we are going to start the tie-dye process. We should have a dark color, a medium middle color, and your lightest color. We are going to start with our darkest color inside of our circle. Once I have my darkest color, I'm going to do a layer of my darkest color around the outer edge of my circle. I am going to do short marker strokes back and forth from the edge of my circle towards the center. The key is to do small sections and keep turning your paper. You'll notice that I am using the side of my marker, not the tip of my marker. The tip gives me a very nice thin line, and the side of my marker gives me a nice thick line. In this case, we want to use the side so that we can cover more ground at once. I'm going to continue to turn my paper, doing short strokes towards the inside. I do not want to do any side-to-side strokes. I'm only going up and down towards the middle of my circle like a firework. Make sure to cover all of your peekaboos and keep turning your paper until you get back to where you started. Once you are finished with your dark layer, you are then going to choose your medium or middle color and repeat the same step inside of your dark layer. Be sure to color like a firework. You want to overlap your layers so that your colors will blend together to get that tie-dye effect. If you do not color like a firework and continue to turn your paper, you will not achieve the tie-dye effect we are going for. Next, you are going to repeat the same technique with your lightest color in the center of your circle. Even though it is a small area, we still need to color like a firework and overlap our colors so that we will be able to blend them together. Now that we have our 3 analogous colors overlapped inside of our circle, we now are going to blend them together with some water. First, I'm going to dip, wipe, and then paint just like I colored from the inside out. I want to make sure I am using the same technique, painting like a firework over top of all 3 colors. This is going to blend the marker colors together so that when it dries, it looks like we tie-dyed the middle of our design. As soon as I have gone around my circle completely one time, I want to stop painting so that I do not put a hole in my paper. Now that we have our center circle complete, I now want to use my darkest color to make a mark in each line section that I want to continue the tie-dye method in. I'm going to start with one of my top sections, and I'm just going to mark it with a small line from the circle towards the outside. I then want to skip over the next section because I do not want to color that section in, and I'm going to do this section after it. So I am marking every other line section with my dark color, making sure to skip one in between so that I know these are the sections that I'm going to color. Once you are finished, you should have marked 8 line sections to be colored. Now that we know which sections we are going to continue to color, we want to make sure that we are using that firework technique, coloring from the inner circle out towards the edges of our paper. So I'm going to repeat the same steps that I did in the center circle in the sections that I have marked with my darkest color. I'm starting with my dark color, then blending in my medium color, coloring like a firework, of course, and then finishing it off with my lightest color. What we do not want to do is we do not want to block off 3 colors with side-to-side lines as if they were squares of colors. That is not going to give us our tie-dye look that we are going for. We must make sure we are coloring like a firework from the center out so that our colors can blend together and we can get the tie-dye look that we want. Once I have blended all 3 of my colors, I am then going to paint over them just like I had in my center circle. I'm going to go back and forth from the center out, painting like a firework as well until my colors have blended together. Remember, do not paint too much or you will put a hole in your paper. I am then going to repeat these steps in each of the sections that I have marked with my darkest color.